What are we talking about today? Dr. Wilcox is with us from the Wilcox Eye Center.
Well, I've shown you some of these things for years here and there over the time, and I'm talking now about some of the alternative things I do as an eye doctor with one of the things that I do is with every patient, I try to put my shoes in the feet of my feet in the shoes of those patients, and saying, if that were me, that were my mother, my brother, whatever, what better things can I do? And one thing you can do is you can go looking into the research out there. What's going on in the laboratories? And I've known for years about the use of certain wavelengths of light and certain magnetic fields and certain frequencies you can use. So just to as a foundation of light, if you think of yourself by a campfire, and maybe you have some s'mores and some friends, but all of a sudden you start smiling because it's warm, it's calificent, it's this nice light. So
Calificent?
Calificent is from the Superior Person's Book of Words.
Wow.
Calories and magnificent. Calories are heat, magnificent makes calificent. If you're drinking hot coffee or hot cocoa and it goes down your throat, it feels calificent. You can add that to your word list.
Thank you. I'm writing it down now.
Calificent. Anyway, so when you have this light, this red light, and you'll hear, it's very popular now with red light saunas and near infrared, certain wavelengths of light are absorbed by the different pigments in the body, chromophores and all these different pigmenty things, and energy is produced. Energy is important because you can't live without energy. And so when you have an ailing body, and all of our bodies peak in certain areas at, in the 20s years of age and whatnot, and we start to fail. And in our genes, when our cells divide, there are these things called telomeres that are sacrifice themselves, and there's only so many times genes divide well, and then they start getting sicker. So light will energize things, and so whether it's your toenail to your tip of your head and your eyes are in between there, it helps. And so the work of Janis Eells and Ted Clarkford and these other people around the world use light. So if it's not available, but it's proven, and you can't have it, and your choices are with your macular degeneration or your diabetic retinopathy or your retinitis pigmentosa, and these studies show that it works. It works.
All right, define in simple terms, what is macular degeneration?
In the back of your eye, you have the sweet spot. On a dartboard, you have the red dot,
correct,
and then you have all the rings. Well, the red dot and the dartboard is your macula. It's the bullseye. It's it's the center of your vision, and it's an energy pig. It is every 2 days, the outer segments of parts of that dartboard, that spot, change over every 2 days. And so you're constantly burning up energy to deconstruct those cells and reconstruct the cells. And what happens is the trash builds up. If you don't have the energy to haul off the trash, then you get, a problem. I like to talk about New York versus Gloucester. If there's if there's a trash strike in New York, we got a huge problem really fast. But if there's one in Gloucester, it ain't so bad. We'll just burn in the backyard, right? But so our body has spots where there's a lot of cellular turnover, and the eyes are part of it. Cellular turnover requires energy. So, Neil, this little headset, you look at it, you go, yeah, it looks like a funny pair of glasses with a bunch of junk on the front, and light emits out of here. And we've kind of stealing the ideas from other people.
Okay, now I want to point out that he is holding a pair of it looks like futuristic glasses. And there are only 2 of these in the world.
Yes. My buddy Julio in Houston, there's a German light physicist, scientist, and a British engineer. So it's crazy. Germany, Great Britain, Houston, and Gloucester.
So there are 4 of those.
No, those are the 2 scientists who help make this thing real. The ideas come out of our heads, and the money goes to them, and these things happen. So what's going on is good intentions. Good intentions, no risk, based on science, and patients are offered to go down the standard of care. These are your choices. Look at a funny light bulb, okay, tiny little light bulbs, okay, that's not what they are, but that's light, or have these magnetic fields strike the eyes, and it gives your body the energy it's short of and needs to heal.
So that light that is emitted from that invention
Yep.
creates energy.
Light is energy. Light is energy.
Artificial light is energy?
Well, sure. You want to grow. You have a grow light for your plants. That's
Right.
artificial light, and the plants grow because the energy of those certain wavelengths coming out of those grow lights go to the chlorophyll. So we have chlorophyll in plants, and energy's made. It converts the sunlight or light to energy.
All right.
And we have the same stuff in our body, chromophores, and it's different stuff. Matter of fact, in your brain, you have the same light receptors in your pineal gland. And
In your what?
when you take melatonin to go to sleep, that's a part of your brain that's stimulated there, and so the light receptors that are in your retina are in the middle of your brain. And to go a step further, when people talk about your third eye, well, there's a triangle, okay? Your two eyes and the one in the middle of your brain, and that's a whole nother story. Getting off topic. So back to this.
Okay.
People, just go look up red light saunas, and you'll find a zillion opportunities on the internet to go buy these things, and they're therapeutic and they're healing. And so this is certain wavelengths of light, 600, our visible spectrum goes from 400 nanometers, which means that in this little sine wave, a wave that goes up and down, there's 400 little nanometers in between the top and the bottom of a wave, the crest and the trough, to 700 nanometers. 700's red, 400's blue. Blue is high energy. Blue tends to be more injurious to the body. That's why you have blue blocker glasses. And red is warming. Back to the campfire, you go, oh, yeah, those amber red colors. And past red is infrared.
Right.
So you have 660, 690, 700. Then you get to 810 and 850 and some of these other wavelengths that you can't see because we're limited in what we can see. But regardless, our body repurposes this stuff and says, thank you, I want that in order to have my stuff called cytochrome C oxidase, these different enzymatic processes and energy production in the body, and I'll try to keep it simple. Maybe making energy.
Many years ago, I want to say 15 years ago maybe, I saw an ad somewhere, and my sinuses are horrendous, always have been, counting the pressure washing, which is actually a surgery. I probably had 9 sinus surgeries. But I had bought this thing on the internet where you put these 2 probes in your nose, and they are red lights. And they're timed out. You push the button, it's timed. And I've never used it on a consistent basis because I look like Rudolph and June would laugh at me. Is that the same?
Well, it's funny. I didn't bring that in today, but remember the time I brought in that crazy headset?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get to invention number 2 here in a second. But something kind of remarkable, very remarkable, actually amazing happened in the practice 3 Mondays ago. A patient presented to the office, 81 years of age, 2.5 years ago, and had very poor retinal circulation, had a sick optic nerve, both optic nerves, some blindness in part of her visual field, and reduced best corrected acuities. And I'm looking at her, and she has these 2 wonderful, fantastic, lovely daughters, one in Colorado, one in Cleveland. And between the patient and her adoring children, they were presented options. What do you want to do? Do you know that your sick eyes are related to your sick blood vessels, and your sick blood vessels are related to poor circulation, and yada, yada, yada? Well, she, quote, bought into everything I was, quote, selling, literally and figuratively, on the stop stuff, take stuff, do stuff triad, and left eventually in March of 2018 with a pulse electromagnetic field emitter, which is the same company that puts it on the International Space Station for astronauts, and the light emitter that goes through your skull and up your nose because there's easy access to all the blood vessels behind your nose. She's in 3 weeks ago, jaw drops because her I have pictures. I have phenomenal technology. I have cutting edge, and I do. I'm sorry.
You do.
And I do cutting edge imaging systems, visual field systems that are used at research levels, and these retinal scanning systems called an OCT. Everything is substantially better. You can see the pigment. She's repigmenting in her retina, in her macula, in the bullseye, where it just doesn't happen from 81 to 83 years of age. You look at the pictures, you go, holy cow. Her acuities went from 20/30 to 20/20. Her visual field with this special unit improved, and everything's better. And so right now, there's a tripping over themselves of these different technologies. Because I blitzkrieg people, and you got to do this, that, and the other thing, and because that's how life works, you know. Yeah. And so there's a little bit of we're working on a paper being written, and right now there's a Harvard journal that it's going into, which it probably very high likelihood it will, because of the significance of the findings. And what I have is a patient, I had a patient who was rare because she bought into, and for almost 2 years, almost daily basis, she used light and magnetic fields and religiously, like 5-6 days a week, and you just can't get people to do that.
Oh, I know. But I want to point out to everybody.
Yep.
I don't want to scare anybody.
Yep.
Wilcox Eye Center, and Dr. Wilcox, he is an eye doctor, and he sells glasses.
Yeah, we do all that stuff.
If you come in and you want an eye exam and you want a pair of glasses or a simple pair of reading glasses or whatever the case may be, depending on your eye exam, he does that. I want to make sure we don't scare anybody off from the Wilcox Eye Center.
I have a very interesting day because from patient to patient, it's young and old, scleral lenses, orthokeratology, routine stuff, free clinic, you name it. You know, tall, short, heavy, skinny, all of it, everybody. 2 to 102. So
what is this other invention?
This other invention. Okay. There's a doctor called Lori Chaikin, who's an optometrist in California, forward-thinking, brilliant, wonderful researcher, published in the ophthalmological literature on the repair of retinal disease. And one title is in previously unremediatable retinal diseases. But this goggle is...
How many of those are there?
There's 4 of these in the world.
In the world.
And there's an IRB, so for people who are squinting their eyes right now, there's an International Review Board-based study of just passing frequencies. These frequencies, remember Ella Fitzgerald in the Memorex commercial?
Yes.
Yeah. And she shattered the glass. Yes. Is it live or is it Memorex?
Absolutely.
That's a frequency. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge, when
Did
the wind
really smash the glass?
Yeah, that goes on. It goes on all the time. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge and wherever in Washington State, Tacoma, and when the wind blew over the bridge and it was at the same frequency and the bridge failed, and back to Harvard, there's a music instructor who found out tuning forks, and he was sitting there thinking, "Go wow, this tuning fork can work in sympathy with this other one," and he presented his information, and now pancreatic cancer, there's certain frequencies you can put on any tissue once you know what that frequency is, and it's very difficult to find, very hard, tedious work to find them, but you can kill those cells and not the cells around them because you can shatter things. So with frequency-specific microcurrent, FSM, you put in 2 frequencies in the body, and it's simply put, one for the tissue, one for the issue. So the tissue could be collagen, could be bone, could be retinal tissue, and the issue could be inflammation, in whatever the negative issue is you're working on. And so basically passing these things through the eyes and will now give love to what needs love and destruction to what needs destruction or discouragement. Low energy, no risk. Papers are proven, have shown improvement in people's vision. And I've got him in the office. And if somebody wants to look up Lori Chaikin, LaurieChaikin, and OD in California, just do that and put frequency-specific microcurrent. You'll find this stuff. So phase 2 of the study's going on, and instead of using one application, there's this goggle that is now more structurally secure. And there's people on the backside who are help funding this for her. And she and I met by virtue of my needling networking, and we like each other because we think similarly. And just two people, eye doctors, saying, how do we do a better way? How do we present options for people that you can choose from and put them in your shopping cart or not?
So
and
the first invention you showed us, the
Yep.
first pair of glasses, uses light.
yeah, light, magnetic fields,
And the second one with Dr.
Use-
Chaikin uses sound.
no, uses frequencies. You
Frequencies,
don't
okay.
hear anything.
Okay.
So
I got
So you have that radio wave.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
And so that's a frequency. So yes, and certain frequencies are when presented when there's a need.
So what? How do you know whether to use light and magnetic field or frequency?
Well, that's why back to that patient who did so well, we used light and magnetic fields. And she also was very allegiant to taking certain supplements that the body needs to build things. And so you can fix things a number of ways. And so don't think for a second that there's only one way to do things. Now, there are better ways and more efficient ways. And sometimes, when you fight a war, you need tanks and bullets and toilet paper and hand grenades and planes and gas. You need a bunch of stuff to fight a war. To build a body and repair a body, you need a bunch of stuff. And so the problem with these ivory tower places with research centers, they want to have one variable. Well, sorry, I can't do that. I got a patient here who's got a job. They got to get to work, and they want to get well. And frankly, being the atypical, you don't go to the optometrist to hear these things. So I have to capture results quicker, sooner, faster for you to believe in me. And I'm past those days. I'm kind of begging with my eyes less, and now it's easier because of the success that has happened.
The bottom line is that you are constantly, a lot of doctors are constantly reading. You're constantly reading, researching, experimenting, discussing, roundtabling, to reach out and grab onto anything that might give a patient an advantage.
And yes, that's true. Thank you for recognizing that. And I do on a daily basis. I'm on my phone. I've got a bunch of contacts in my life, and there's a patient in the chair, and I may know, 70 to 100% of the answer on that case. You want affirmation. You want the patient to hear from somewhere else, and just confirmation. And I do that all the time. And then in turn, I get a phone call from these people or those people. But it's just the way I roll. I'm never the smartest guy in the room, but I'm a phone call away from somebody or an email away. And I do it all the time. It's just,
and again, I want to remind everyone, the Wilcox Eye Center is exactly that. It's an eye center. If you are having problems with your vision, you go in, you get a vision exam, and you need glasses and you want glasses, that's fine. Contacts, that's fine. You have that special thing that Grady got that I always refer to.
Corneal molds. Yeah.
That you wear at night, and all of a sudden your vision during the day is exceptional. We'll get into that on a separate program one day. But the Wilcox Eye Center is at the point. Do not be afraid to just stop by and talk. To say, hey, I heard you. Here's my problem. What do we do? And Dr. Wilcox says, okay, here are our options.
Yeah.
He can show you these inventions, which when you look at them, you go, and you may not be ready.
Well, and these are things that I have total control over,
Right.
and I dole out as needed. It's an interesting conversation. It's where things are going. We're in Gloucester County, Virginia, not New York City, not here, not there, not the other place. And it's just because, the field of dreams, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And this is where I feather my nest. And so just because I'm in little old Gloucester, it's fantastic old Gloucester. It's a special, it's just the way I like to do things.